The Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2 trailer has just landed, and like many of us predicted, 10 days before the new volume airs, we've got our first true insight into what's going to happen, so let's dive right on into it. The first thing we saw was the aftermath of Vecna leaving with the children that he took from Hawkins after episode 4, and Will essentially calming down his powers. We saw the devastation, the dead, and the openings to the Upside Down that were present throughout the center of the frame, which shows how the group are going to be going on the offensive again, and I think a lot of their time will be spent inside of the Upside Down this time around. This is also supported by the song Upside Down by Diana Ross that was released in 1980, being the song that played underneath the entirety of the trailer. The first piece of dialogue was Will saying, "We failed. We never stood a chance." He was speaking with his mother Joyce, and she responded and said, "This isn't over, not by a long shot." The fact that Will quite literally tapped into his powers that he didn't realize that he had and was in touch with the Upside Down in a way like he'd never experienced before is something that makes me think that he's going to be slightly fearful of what happened. And that could also lead to his mindset of why he thinks they failed, because even with him being in tune with the Upside Down, it wasn't enough to stop him. He saw the sheer amount of power that Vecna had when he arrived there and the damage that he caused, so it's going to feel even more like an uphill battle. This was followed by Mike looking up at what I'm presuming is going to be one of those red portals that are appearing inside of the Upside Down, and Max and Holly seemingly navigating through Henry Creel's memories in order to look for a way out. It seems like they're going to find their way into Holly's room, which is where I think the scenes of Vecna walking through the house later on are going to be taking place, because he's going to be following them to the Wheeler house. Dustin went on to say a really important line, which was, "This whole time, everything we've ever assumed about the Upside Down has been dead wrong." Seriously, what a line to drop in the trailer. Everything that we know about the Upside Down might not be what it's actually ever seen. So I reckon this could be tied into the fact that they're also going to stumble across one of those portals, as Dustin looked up and also said, "Mother of God." I reckon it's alluding to the fact that they're going to find out about Dimension X, the world that the Mind Flayer is essentially ruler of, and how the Upside Down could just be one small part of it. Dimension X is where the darkness is essentially born from, because that's where Henry Creel got his darkness from when he accidentally went there, so I think that's going to make up a large part of this next season. I think the Upside Down genuinely might start to cave in on itself or something like that, and Dimension X will reveal itself and the mighty Mind Flayer will be there. If Vecna's got what he wants from Hawkins and the Upside Down is a representation of Hawkins, but a darker version of it, does it need to exist anymore? This was followed by a scene of Holly and Max walking through a door inside of Henry Creel's mind, which led to nowhere in the reality, and I think most of these shots are going to come from the episode which is titled Escape from Camazotz. This is where we're going to learn about Dimension X through Henry Creel's traumatic time there, and with Max taking Holly, that'll most likely lead Vecna to go after them and go on the offensive. This was then when Diana Ross's song started getting a bit more of a focus in the trailer. 11 then said to Callie, "Help me find him and kill him." This shows that Callie is aware of who Vecna is, and with it seeming like this is taking place inside of the Upside Down, I think it'll be one of their first interactions with one another after 11 frees her from the hold that the military had on her. There was then a shot of the portal or energy beam as the lyrics Inside Out were being sung, and I think this is also tying into the whole aspect of there being a completely different dimension that's connected to the Upside Down, and that maybe by going through it, that could lead somebody to Dimension X. It's almost Inside Out. Outside of this, we saw Murray driving Dustin, Robin, Lucas, Nancy, and Will into the military base. Robin said the line, "I kinda thought that was supposed to be the easy part as they were met with fire," and Lucas responded and said, "It was." We know that the military are after 11, and with her freeing Callie, they're gonna be after her even more. They essentially guard the gateways to the Upside Down at the moment, so the group might need to break through into the base in order to get to the Upside Down. After this, there was then a quick succession of shots that appeared. We had Max and Holly running through the woods and making it back to the cave, most likely because Henry was after them. I do wonder if their plan is to get him inside of there so his mind gets weakened by his traumatic time of venturing to Dimension X when he was younger, as it was clearly something that traumatized him as he couldn't go in there in Season 5 Volume 1. We had the Demodog running through the hospital, which is going to be connected to the scene where Lucas is rescuing Max. There was also military in there, so the hospital is most likely going to be under attack. I think Vecna could look to target Max's body in the right side up and kill her there, so it essentially renders her dead within the trapped state in his memories. I think he sent the Demodogs after her there because he's going to be struggling with her inside of his memories. The next line that was spoken in the trailer was, "I don't know what's on the other side of this. If we want to stand a chance of surviving, we need to be a team." The fact that within this trailer there was a line of dialogue that was focused on togetherness and being able to get through it as one, it does make me think that there's going to be a fatality in this next volume. As this was said, there were so many different shots. We had Vicky coming face to face with the Demodog, which could insinuate that she could end up becoming dog food. One of Will looking to use his powers, so he's going to be tapping into the hive mind again in order to do it. Maybe he's going to be looking to find Vecna and track him down that way, seeing as though he might be able to sense him with those powers. There was one of 11 looking like she was getting ready to go into a deprivation tank, and Mike was comforting her. There was the Demodog right around the corner from Lucas, and also Vicky, which shows that she survives the initial attack from them. Dustin and Mike embracing, 11 utilizing her powers, and us seeing that same person falling through the sky as we've seen in every trailer, which I'm imagining could be us seeing Henry Creel going into Dimension X for the first time. Or maybe even Max or Holly falling through. One of the coolest shots here was when Henry Creel appeared in his clothing that he was wearing when the Hawkins Lab massacre occurred, and it was flipping between him, Mr. Watson, and then ultimately Vecna as his hand transformed on the banister. This was as he was on the hunt for Holly. He then said the line, "It is time for a new world." As he said this, the energy beam was going throughout the Upside Down, which I think was almost showing that it could well be destroyed, because, like Dustin said, that very place doesn't matter. Dimension X could be what actually does, and the breaking down of the Upside Down could be what the reveal is. There was then a shot of Callie jumping onto a soldier, and another of Robin upping the power that had cables connected to a Demogorgon. I think this could be what was causing Vecna to potentially glitch between the different personas. It's a hive mind after all, so if the Demogorgon is being treated like that, then Vecna could well feel it and sense it. That's why I also think in the other trailer that tower got destroyed, because it's going to trigger that response in order to make it stop. We then got one of the most powerful lines of the trailer, which was from Steve, where he said to Dustin, "You die, I die." Now, I don't know if the Duffer Brothers are doing this, because we all think that there's a chance that Steve's gonna die, but could this be lining up Steve's death and the heroic sacrifice that we all think he's gonna make? We then had another quick succession of shots, which was building towards the crescendo. It had Dustin running away, Jonathan and Nancy being hit with the impact of the energy that was present in the Upside Down, 11 trying to navigate through the debris that was present, most likely because the Upside Down is going to begin to cave in on itself, and then we had the cracks starting to form as Vecna was connecting to the tendrils that connected him to the hive mind. This was as he was in his lair. We haven't really had a good look at his lair, but it seems like it's tucked away from the protection of the chaos that's unfolding. We know that he wants to rebuild the world, and if the Upside Down isn't collapsing in on itself, I think those very cracks that could be appearing might well be the right side up, getting ready to be destroyed. Vecna seems to have reached his limit, and with the group going on the offensive again to find him and to rescue the kids, he's not going to hold back anymore. I also think with this energy beam or portal that's present, I think we're going to see that the Mind Flayer is actually in charge of everything that we've been watching, and that the darkness within Henry is almost making him like a puppet. The Flayer isn't really a being that can walk the earth or anything like that, so with Vecna being a foot soldier and the real Henry Creel being trapped inside, something that could also connect to why we saw the many different versions of Henry glitching, I think that could potentially be the biggest reveal of Volume 2. I hope it is anyway. I really want the Mind Flayer to come back. Vecna could well end up being defeated or killed, but the Flayer might end up being the problem that they'll have to worry about, and it could lure them into a false sense of victory. Either way, the trailer for Volume 2 looks so good, and it looks like it's going to follow on from the moment where we left off in Episode 4, so it's going to feel like a seamless transition. So, there you have it, Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2 trailer explained. If you want to see Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 1 being broken down, then check the video below. I've also done a load of videos discussing the biggest theories, so I'll put the playlist there too. Are you excited for Volume 2? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.